Well, I'm saying that the entire court is engaged in this collusion and conspiracy, these racketeering, this fucking treason, this overthrow, this usurpation of the authority of the court, this usurpation because due to their criminal activity, their authority is null and void. It was from the day they got there, became aware of these other judges doing it, and didn't inform the public of it going on. They became a part of the collusion. And as documented, they're all totally cooperative in it. But anyway, I says, well, the conflict here is, I says, and I always relate that, when some judges were sued by the United States Attorney General's office for accepting a bribe in the federal court here, the entire court recused itself. So we're talking about entire court recusals, and I'm giving, basis. And in a more recent matter, our ex-mayor, ex-judge, ex-mayor, Murray or whatever his name was, and the judge goes, yeah, I'm familiar with that. Yeah, the entire court recused itself. Yeah, I'm familiar with that. I goes, well, that's what I'm telling you. The entire court here needs to recuse itself. There is not a judge here in this court that is not engaged in this aiding and abetting of fraud, and this is such an aiding of such a fraud, which has now been openly aided and abetted by these judges against me. Where they've demonstrated that they will violate all of my rights, especially my right to equal representation under the law. In other words, they're stepping in and representing the other party and arguing for them, arguments which the other party would never have even dream of arguing. And of course they don't do this. And I says, furthermore, the conflict of interest here is that I am going to show that this judge who on his affidavit asked, in other words, the judge reads off this affidavit, and it's, in other words, you don't get, people think you get found in contempt of court, they're going to grab you by the shoulder and throw you in jail, or fine you right there. No, that matter has to be tried by another judge. So I'm now in this other court being tried for contempt of court. And I says, I'm going to show that this judge in the affidavit, and it's signed on the bottom, by the judge, it's signed, and it says, I declare under penalty of perjury that the above statements are true and correct to the best of my knowledge. Signed the judge. Okay? Signed under penalty of perjury, and I have said, I am going to show that all of his claims are fraudulent and perjurious. I'm going to show that everything he said is bullshit. I was not in contempt of court. Well, they, of course, find me not guilty of contempt of court because I'm not guilty of contempt of court. I said, now what are you going to do as a judge who is aware that this other judge has lied under signature of a penalty of perjury? What's the penalty for perjury? You know what the penalty for perjury is? The penalty for perjury is that every judge is going to jump in with both feet and aid it and abet it, as in this case, ignore it. So, folks, you think you're free? You ain't free. I'm free. And the question is not whether you have the balls to follow. You don't have the balls to follow. You people are stuck on lemmings, stupid sheep, cowards. Now, you better, if you want to restart the genetic development of the human race, you get off your ass and you start open your eyes to what they're doing. And the next time you're on jury duty, you watch what these judges do. And when you see this kind of bullshit going on, you stand up and you go, excuse me, I'm going to speak to the judge in the back room. You have a right to do this. You have a right to require that your Bill of Rights be enforced by the court, because you don't have freedom. You don't have freedom from being thrown in jail. You don't have freedom from having your property taken fraudulently by attorneys who are conducting frauds daily against you, unless you're willing to stand up when you have jury duty and look out and realize that there is no reason for either party at this point not to falsify evidence, not to orchestrate perjuries, not to destroy evidence, fabricate it, lie, and lie. There's no reason for the prosecutors not to do this, because they are given the same protection as the small claims and ambulance chasers are going to be given. What do you think? These judges are going to apply the law and the rights differently? Why should they? You're so fucking stupid. And even if there's anybody in there that is really a peer to a person being tried, you know who the people get tried are the people with money. Okay? The people have the intelligence to work for themselves, and the balls and the huevos. Okay? They know that the jury is composed is going to be composed of 12 people, and that the guy conducting the fraud is going to have 6 preempts out of whatever 15 or 20 that come up, as prospective jurors. They're going to, out of 25 people, you might have 6 people that have the ability to understand when somebody's rights are violated. You're going to probably have 3 people on that jury that are capable of understanding that there is no incentive for anybody there to tell the truth, that both sides, the evidence of both sides should be weighed equally, and there's going to be almost nobody on that jury that has the huevos to stand up and do anything about it, much less try to relate it to the rest of the lemming sheep on the jury. And they know it, which is why the system is as broke as it is. Now, do you want it fixed or don't you want it fixed? Because I ain't taking this shit.
Yeah, probably the most direct connection between the protection the judges are giving attorneys in committing frauds, the aiding and abetting, and that it leads to racketeering against our insurance companies was shown by after I lost the Nicholson case, I ran an ad in a newspaper under personals, and it's really limited as what they'll let you put in, but the ad said, wanted information regarding fraud, insurance fraud by chiropractors in the areas of the Hillcrest DMV and the 3rd Avenue Chula Vista Post Office. I just threw one out there. And I get this response almost right away. This guy calls up. He says, hello. He says, are you talking about the Clayton P. Silver's offices in Chula Vista and his office with Dr. Shock Schneider in Hillcrest? And I went, yeah. He says, what do you want to know? I want to know what percentage of their billings to insurance companies are fraudulent. And he said, 100%. And I went, 100%? What do you mean? He says, let me explain how it works. He says, Schneider has about 7 different offices, or 5 or 7, and he says he goes to a different one every day, and he basically goes in there and rewrites all of the evaluations conducted by his chiropractors in each of his little sub-offices. And he says sometimes he just literally starts from scratch, throws the original away, doesn't even look at it, and writes up a new bill. And he says, I says,